of light, and welcome to another epic download. And this video may very well be triggering for you, just because it's really out there. I'm just going to start with that. If you're not down with really kind of fringe information, then maybe just turn this one off and go watch a different one. There's so much information around reptilians, shapeshifters. I'll probably call them reps for this video just because of the algorithm and shadow banning and things like that. There's so much information around this. This has been a topic that I have been, I guess, interested in, but exposed to quite a while ago, around 2010, when I first got introduced to the concept of interdimensional beings. I got introduced to the concept of reps and their capabilities and really the purpose and reason for why they're on this planet. So it was actually the Galactic Federation of Light who first introduced me to them. Back then, I called them dinosaur beings. It might not be a bad idea to call them that in this video, but I had no frame of reference for what I was seeing, so I called them giant humanoid dinosaur type beings. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over pretty much the history of them in relation to our planet. I don't really know a whole lot about them off planet or, out there in the universe. I know a little bit. Basically what they're doing or trying to do to this planet is what they have done many times before on many other planets. That's how the concept was originally introduced to me. I also want to preface by saying, of course, take or leave any of this information because this is pretty much the extreme fringe of the crazy that I go down. And of course, I don't believe that it's crazy because I really do believe that this stuff is and has been happening. But once again, you have free will to take it or leave it, especially this kind of video. And everything that I'm going to be explaining and going over today is channeled straight from the source, or I guess really truly channeled from my remote viewing experiences. The majority of this information is channeled from remote viewing, and then also a mix of past life regression, and I guess a mix of channeling information from the Galactic Federation. But it's definitely not coming from just one source. This is about 10 years of pulling experiences, downloads, information together. I do want to apologize for the original thumbnail to this video. It was super inappropriate. And it actually brings up a really good point that a lot of individuals on the internet, and I don't really know who's talking about this stuff, I do know that this stuff is being way more talked about than when I first got introduced to it such a long time ago. What's really unfortunate about this topic in particular is that it is... there's a lot of disinformation out there. I don't know how people get this information. I don't know why there is this need to target specific groups. Like, I don't believe in really anything that these conspiracy, alien, UFO type of worlds are getting into about this. I think it actually reminds me of the Bible, okay? The Bible and religion have a small percentage of the truth of what's really out there. And I think that at a deep level, our souls recognize that aspect, that fractal of the truth. It hooks us in, and we kind of agree to everything else that religion or that book or this kind of conspiracy tells us. Okay, so what's really important is to utilize your own discernment and to really feel into what resonates with you about this topic, because there is a lot going on. And like I said, there's so much disinformation out there, and a lot of this stuff is really twisted, and it's twisted into a very dark kind of story. It's dark enough as it is. And I guess without further ado, let's just dive right into it. Like I said, I have talked about this topic before, but I'm covering a very different angle of it. which is basically the history of reptilians and humans' involvement in that, but it's mostly going to be about the history. Okay? So keep an open mind, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Okay. Also, this was not the topic that I was going to talk about today, so for whatever reason, it needs to be talked about. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. So let's just begin at the beginning. And like I said, I'm not going to like mention the source every time, but it's a combination of channeling, remote viewing, and past life regression. So, at the beginning of the reps' involvement of planet Earth, I want to mention and be very candid as to I don't know how they arrived on this planet originally. I have no idea. But what I know for sure is that the reps were here long before human beings ever were, okay? Reptilians were here long before human beings ever were. As a matter of fact, I remote viewed into ancient human history, and I saw these giant humanoid dinosaur beings walking around with dinosaurs. I believe, based on my own visions, that they were the intelligent species back then. They could have been like competition for dinosaurs, but they were way more highly advanced, and they actually had societal structures that were actually very similar to kind of the primitive human structures back then on planet Earth. Once again, they were here before humans. This is a very important point because I guess, story that they have in their mind is that this planet was originally owned by them. They believe that this planet is theirs, and that is why some of the traditionalists within the reps will fight until they run out of breath, basically, to fight for this planet as their own. Okay, they're like the traditionalists, I guess, on this planet. Once again, I don't know where they came from. I don't believe that they evolved from here, but I don't have those answers, okay? So what I know for sure is they were here long before. Yes, planet Earth originators. Okay, they were here for quite some time, and then the shifting of the power happened. I don't really know what happened to the dinosaurs. It's a question that I get asked often. Definitely some sort of giant, cataclysm, for sure. It's kind of like a washing away. Like, I believe, actually, I shouldn't say that. I believe that the Earth has gone through many cycles, and basically cataclysms happen. Yeah, it's really from the changing of the electromagnetic pole, okay, system on planet Earth. And apparently that's a very natural thing to have happen to many planets over tens of thousands of years, if not millions of years, is that the electromagnetic frequency shifts. It's kind of like thinking about a human being and the fact that our aura shifts around our body, which it does. It changes over time. Super fascinating. So I believe that it is one of these pole shifts that created a certain amount of cataclysms, which basically, wiped away a lot of life. But the rep beings were highly advanced and were very easily able to navigate through that. Then what happens next is basically another interdimensional species comes to planet Earth to, I don't know, check it out. And that was the Anunnaki. Now, I consider the Anunnaki some of the sculptors or creators of and within this galaxy system, the Milky Way galaxy. I believe I call them the creator or creator beings or creator species because they have a knack for genetics, and they tend to basically, screw with genetics to a point where they create all of these very humanoid civilizations, really for their own mostly greedy needs, and then they dump that species, they leave them. And it's like having a bunch of kids and then leaving your kids, leaving your family, and then they leave, and the society is just kind of, set to work itself out. So in a way, they're super irresponsible, the Anunnaki, but also in a way, they have created some of the most amazing species we have in this galaxy. So, it's a kind of a weird dynamic in the universe. But that's kind of what I understand with the Anunnaki. So they basically came here. They didn't come here to create a species. They came here to extract certain minerals from planet Earth. So they really just came here to mine. Of course, the reps did not want them here, and there was a bit of kind of rebellion and fighting that went on between the Anunnaki and the reps. I didn't really take a look at much of that war, much of that fighting. It was over pretty quickly because the Anunnaki are just way more advanced than the reps on this planet. I also want to widen your mind a little bit and let you know that there are many different species of reptilians. There are the Dracos, the Archons. There's many, 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 very similar to there being many different species of gray. I mean, it's just such a broad name, and our English language is quite limited with that. So I just wanted to broaden your mind a bit. But the ones who are on this planet obviously evolved apart and away from their cosmic counterparts. And so then basically the Anunnaki and the reps came to an agreement, kind of like a peace treaty. It's like, all right, Anunnaki, you stay on this side of the planet. You mine whatever you want, and we'll stay on this side of the planet, and we'll have all the resources that we desire. And really, truly, the reps were the dominating species for potentially millions of years on this planet. So keeping that in mind. Okay, then the Anunnaki were basically sick and tired of doing the work themselves. And it's like so typical of them to do this. And they're like, well, we can just kind of create a civilization or a species that that will help us, mine these materials. And that was like Gen 1 of human beings, or Homo erectus or Homo sapien, or whatever you want to call them. And it was with the Anunnaki's basically ability to be these master geneticists that created the first generation of human beings. We weren't able to reproduce right away. And that was literally for a reason. It was population control, but it was almost like they had to stop production and had to make humans. And it was counter, productive. So they allowed humans eventually, I think it was around Gen 3, Gen 4, maybe even later than that. Where they basically decided, okay, human beings are allowed to reproduce themselves, and they gave us that ability. And then what happened? Hold on, I put a whole list of things. Okay, then the reps didn't like that. I mean, of course, right? Like the Anunnaki are coming to their planet, creating this civilization. And we were looked at, okay, let's be real, we were looked at as like pests on this planet, like mice, like invading, especially the fact that we could reproduce. They looked at us as like an ant, invasion kind of thing. Like really bad. And so basically the reps said, whoa, you can't be making, another civilization on our planet. This is our turf, pretty much. And so basically the Anunnaki and the reps, I just wrote a bunch of notes because I had to organize the timelines and figure out what I was going to talk about. So then basically the Anunnaki and the reps made an agreement, and the Anunnaki said, hey, actually, this civilization that we created is to your benefit, because do you see how they're doing our bidding? Do you see how that they think that we are their gods? Do you see how primitive they are? Do you see how easily manipulated they are? Do you see how they're our slaves? Cool, well now they're going to be your slaves too. So the Anunnaki and the reps came to this agreement way back then that they were going to share this civilization for both of their own greedy needs. And that thus was born, the slave, the slave species, being human beings. Now, for a second, I want to take you a huge step back away from the timeline. And I want to pivot you to a different perspective, but same story, different perspective. I'll tell you that 10 years ago, 2011, when I was told this whole story, I was angry. I don't know if any of you are angry right now hearing this, maybe for the first time. I was pissed. I went to the GFL and I said, "Are you serious? Are you kidding me? We're slaves and like this is wrong and isn't there a law of non-intervention and how can they do this?" Like I was pissed. And and they showed me a different side of the story and it was really incredible. So it's like so crazy. And I'm trying to relay the visual. So if you actually see me looking away, especially to my right for whatever reason, that's me gaining access to my subconscious mind that holds the visual of the information. And then I like take some time to process the visual. And then when I look directly at the camera, I'm ready to relay the processing. Just had to explain that. Okay. So hold on. Okay, so this is what the GFL relayed to me in a visual. They said that millions and millions and millions of years ago, like literally millions of years before planet Earth was even an Earth, they took me back to the Galactic Federation and the councils back then. And they said that there was this woman, okay, an interdimensional being. How do I describe her? Almost like she was a mystic, okay, let's call her that, but she was like an interesting looking being. I'm not even going to go into what she looked like, but she was an old like interdimensional mystic that worked for the GFL. I don't think I've ever seen another species like her since I've seen her. And they said that this mystic said that there was a prophecy that she channeled, I guess, and she said that there was going to be a planet and somewhere in the Milky Way galaxy, and that this planet was going to house a civilization of beings who were going to end the war of all wars. That's what she said. That was her huge prophecy. And so then, fast forward like probably millions of years, Earth and the stardust, in this solar system started forming, and this planet started taking shape. And I forget where the idea of the hybrids. Oh yeah, this is what it was. It's like so crazy. I was a part of a lot of these councils that made these decisions. So part of my own past life exploration was me being a part of. I was a Palladian man way back when, and I was a part of a council. And my job, my position as this Palladian man within the GFL was to go around and to help civilizations come together by creating peace treaties under the order of the Galactic Federation. Now, please keep in mind that the Galactic Federation, the main purpose is to be a hub of many different interdimensional species coming together to abide by the laws of the universe. The GFL does not make up their own laws. They just ensure that all parts of the universe are abiding by the universal truths, the universal laws. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's basically their job. My position with them was to go around to these different planets, these different dimensions, these different civilizations, and make sure that they are signing appropriate peace treaties and they're all getting along. My biggest issue back then was the fact that these Archons, Draco beings, and many other different species that are in much lower vibrations and really like power hungry, but it's so it's such an eye roll because all these power hungry species, they always implode in on themselves because there's always going to be someone that's greedier than main leader that's greedy. It's just, it never works. It never ever works. And I view it as such a waste of time. And the problem is that I would have, the Surrey species sign a contract with the Archon species to create peace within that region of the galaxy or the universe. And the freaking Archons or the Dracos or the low vibrational beings would always override the contracts and break the peace treaty. And there was at a certain point in time where I went to the council and I said, you guys, this is not enough. This handwritten bullshit, okay? This peace treaty is not, it's not binding. No one cares. I mean, we care because we care about the collective good, but no one else on the other side cares. So we were trying to create a solution to this problem that we were having. Maybe a peace treaty lasts 100 years, maybe it lasts 1,000 years, maybe it lasts, you know, a light year, okay? But it's always going to end, and it's always that side that ends it. So what we devised, like, I don't even know how this came about, but I remember being in many meetings about this. What we put together and created was basically a plan to genetically modify a species, a civilization, where it would be one civilization, one species that had all of the highest vibrational frequencies in the universe, as well as all of the lowest vibrational frequencies, the highest DNA, the lowest DNA. Can we put both sides of polarity in this universe together into one species, one civilization? And we would be, that this civilization would be the living, breathing, walking, talking peace treaty. So who cares about a piece of paper? No one cares about that. But when you have children that are part of you, okay, then you're gonna care a little bit more. Hence, the birth of the human beings. All right. Now, of course, this took a long time to get here. But I want to tell you that going back into the story of the Anunnaki versus the Reps, all right, on this planet, all of this commotion was going on between the Anunnaki and the Reps. This is my planet. Well, I'm, a more advanced species, so I get more leverage or whatever it is. Higher than that, higher than this kind of petty squabble that was going on this planet, is the GFL saying our prophecy, not even our plan, our prophecy is working beautifully. Now we have the Anunnaki, who have imbued their DNA and their master genetic skills within Gen 1 of the human beings. Then we've got the Reps, who believe that they own this land. They want control over this species, over this planet. They're now imbuing their DNA into it. So although at a small scale, it's like I could get very angry about what the GFL allowed these two civilizations to do to us, when in retrospect, it was all a part of the plan the whole time. We need to realize that there are, some pretty effed up dark agendas on this planet, and we can all see them very, very clearly. But we have to realize there are higher agendas. There are different plans. There is unity consciousness that is always at play. Always, always. And this is exactly the case of what happened back then. And then you've got the rise of ancient Lemuria, ancient Atlantis. You've got the Palladians coming in. You've got the angels coming in. You've got the Greys coming in with their master genetic plan. Okay? I mean, it just builds and builds and builds to get to where we are now. All right. I'm just going to put that aside, and I'm going to get back to the basically the history, right, of what happened. So we left off at basically the Anunnaki and the Reps creating a peace treaty around human beings. Well, if we're allowed to be here and do what we want with this civilization, then you're allowed to control them too. So it got to a point for a very long time, the Anunnaki and the Reps and a couple of other different civilizations or species came in and interacted very slightly, but it was mostly the Anunnaki and the Reps for quite some time who were interacting with planet Earth and human beings. The most recent time where we can observe and see these two civilizations interacting with each other is, or I guess three civilizations interacting with each other, is ancient Egypt. Now, just take a gander at ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. I mean, you will very clearly see Anunnaki beings, and you will very clearly see beings represented as snakes. I mean, it's not, doesn't take a rocket science to understand that this has been documented, even though I will say that back in ancient Egypt, it was illegal, this is what they said anyway, it was like punishable by death to, what was it? What were the words? Oh yeah, to basically create anything in the image of the reptilian beings. It was like literally punishable by death to recreate an image of them, and that's why there are very cryptic images made of them. And there are some sculptures that did get through that were created in secret and were hidden, which is incredible that we have some of that documentation and that proof, which is amazing. Okay, cool. So this is one of the, like, literally still to this day, and I have told the story on stages and on videos before, but to this day, this is one of the most amazing remote viewing experiences I've ever had. And this probably, I don't even, time is weird. Like, I don't even know what I did yesterday, let alone when this image came through. I want to guess that it came through around 2014, probably 2014, 2015. And I was remote viewing. I wanted to fill in some gaps about what really went down in ancient Egypt, what really happened with like our civilization and advancement. So imagine this, right? Like I literally see this sprawling town at the base of the pyramids. The pyramids are built at this point, and like I said, the Anunnaki are involved with human beings. There's also rep beings that are walking around. These rep beings are literally like 10 feet tall, green, scaly. Some of them have tails, some of them don't have tails, and there's actually different hierarchies within the reptilian beings. But I saw them as the managers of the humans. They were the ones with the whips, they were the ones pushing us around like human beings. And then the Anunnaki were revered as gods. There were a lot fewer of them, but they were 10 times more powerful than even the reps. There were many reps around because there was many humans. So it was like in their eyes, I guess, the perfect control system. Okay, so here's the image, right? So that's all going on at that time. And then literally these 3 giant UFO spaceships come down over the city. Like they're so big. There's one big one and then 2 smaller ones, so big that it just blocks out the sun. The whole city is just shadowed. So you could imagine that this was also witnessed by many people. You might have been there, like really. And then what happened? So this was basically the GFL, the Galactic Federation, coming down. So it wasn't just one species coming down, it was many, but the beings that were talking to the Anunnaki and the Reptilians were the Palladians. They were the ones to relay the message, but it was from the GFL. It's funny because I see that as that would be a position that I would be in as that peace treaty kind of communicator as well, is kind of sending those messages. It wasn't me, but it's such an incredibly powerful scene. So the GFL basically came down and they told they literally teleported into the Anunnaki room. I don't know where they were, but they teleported into this, I guess, kind of like a palace looking thing. And they said, you can no longer interfere with planet Earth or human beings anymore. It is now time for you to leave. That was the message from the GFL at that time during ancient Egypt. And honestly, this is so crazy, but the Anunnaki said, all right, cool, we're out of here. Like they literally got what they wanted. They got exactly what they wanted. I don't know if they were getting bored, but there was zero resistance around them whatsoever. I also think that they probably they respect the GFL, I would hope. But anyway, one can hope. And anyway, so the Anunnaki left like almost instantly. Like they were cool with leaving. The reps, on the other hand, absolutely not. They were not okay with leaving. They put up a fight. They told the GFL, this is our planet. If anything, get the human beings out of here. But in the grand scheme of things, in this giant kind of plan, the human beings, this is the planet that we are supposed to basically grow on and develop on. And we're already this hybrid prophesized species. And this is the perfect planet for us. So they weren't going to kick us out. Anyway, and so basically they came to an agreement. The GFL and the reps, the OG reps on this planet, came to an agreement, and they said, basically, if you're going to be here, You can be here, but you cannot be seen by humans. That's what they said. You cannot be seen by humans, so how about you go underground? So the GFL basically got rid of the Anunnaki, the gods, and they pushed all of the rep beings underground. And this is where the reps made all of their caverns and all of their tunnels, and basically, it is different than inner Earth. That is different, but it's also a part of those cavernous systems. And reps are actually totally fine with living in darkness and being underground. But here's what ended up happening. The reps go away. They abide by the GFL. But there's a loophole. Seems to me that they always find a freaking loophole. And the loophole here was, well, the GFL said that we cannot be seen by humans. So why don't we put our brains together and we come up with some sort of technology where humans can't see us, but we can still be in control of them and they can still be our slaves. Yep, that happened. So basically, there is the kind of shape-shifting program, you can call it, which is through interbreeding with human beings, very similar to what the Anunnaki did. Through interbreeding, they have given us their DNA, the reps, and they're able to transport their consciousness into our bodies because we hold their frequency. So that's one way that they do it. But the other way that they do it is they basically have, especially these days, they have super developed and advanced, kind of like a holograph technology, and they're able to, it's really difficult to explain, but basically they're able to shapeshift. Like, and I believe that we can do this too, in other ways and in ways that we don't control, civilizations. But if I really wanted to be a tree and I would embody the vibration of a tree, and maybe if my physical body wasn't as dense as it is in this lifetime, maybe fourth dimension density, I would be able to shift my appearance into the appearance of a tree. Okay, I believe that that's possible. That's basically what they can do. That's their technology. So sometimes they hop into a human body to take it over, depending on the rank of that human body, the influence of that human body. They will hop into it. And other times they're like, I'm just going to, off this person because it's easier that way. There's no fighting with a prior consciousness. And they have a device or the capability to shapeshift into that form, which is also totally possible. So they do it two ways. Now, this is why they created these, and I'm not going to get into it in this video. I have other videos that are out there that you can watch if you're interested in this, but they do have things like blood and sex rituals, and this whole kind of crazy effed up matrix, karma, trauma, child sex trafficking system. I'm not going to get into, but basically that's why celebrities and other individuals sign their soul away to get famous, because the soul's in there somewhere, but they are not in control of what's happening, which is really sad, actually. That is a thing. I mean, but this is how they get around the laws of the universe. And the biggest law that they are contending with is the law of non-intervention. And they can get around this by saying, you want to join our club, right? Okay, cool. So just sign your soul away, and then you are agreeing to this contract. I'm not intervening if you're agreeing. And that's how they've gotten around it. Okay. So, just want to see. Yes. Okay. I want to mention actually too. So when all the reps went underground, there was only a small minority of those beings that went underground that were allowed above ground. And there was a hierarchy system. The highest ranking reps were the ones allowed above ground, and the ones allowed to interact with human beings and control us. You could call it the royal reptilians, were the ones who were allowed to be above ground and interact with us. I also want to mention too, from my observation and my interaction with that world, and just, I mean, I haven't had too much interaction, but I've witnessed a lot of things. There are two types of reps that are above ground, because I want to tell you right now, there's tons of them underground still, and we're going to get to that part of it because there's a huge rebel movement that's going on. I'm so freaking pumped about it. We're going to get to that. That's like present day stuff, but we're leading up there. Okay, so there's two types of reps above ground. I call them the controllers or the shit disturbers. Okay, there's two types. The controllers are the ones top positions. They are the power leaders of this planet. Queen Elizabeth is a good example of one of those top controllers. The shit disturbers are basically lower level reps who come into bodies, especially bodies who are empty, alcoholics, drug users, homeless people. You know, they will come in and they will just do a mass killing. They will come in, they will just terrorize people. You know, they are shit disturbers. They just come in and they just lower the vibration of the reality around them. I think all of us, if you live or have ever lived or have ever even walked through a big city, you can, I can look at people and know if they are, I guess, possessed, right? Anyway, so a lot of us have had interactions with those lower level shit disturbers. And okay, I also want to mention too, a part of the shit disturbers are maybe a little like a section of the cleaned up ones who are specifically targeting star seeds and light workers. And specifically, they are, what is it called in war when you, there's a name for it, it's really funny. When you send a woman who's a double agent into like a scene to get information from the other side. I forget what that's called, but basically they utilize that technique and they send out good-looking, charming, gregarious, but honeypot, sorry. But they also like outgoing, beautiful, charming, but also manipulative, controlling shapeshifters or embodiers, right? Ones that hop into low vibrational bodies to target light workers to completely F with our mind. Anyone here been with a crazy, manipulative, controlling, abusive, sly, but charming and good looking and gregarious individual? Most likely you've been with a shapeshifter, okay? And it's honestly way more common than you would think it is. And they are very low level beings who are able to hop in, okay? Okay, what else did I want to mention? Okay, so before I go into present day, what's happening and the excitement of finally what's happening within this whole realm, I want to give you a little, a pyramid drawing that I drew that is very suiting. Where's my pen? Okay, cool. So this is the pyramid of society, I guess. Obviously, we are at the bottom, that's us. And then you've got, this is just kind of my observation, take it or leave it. Then you've got religion, you've got politics, you've got money, and you've got media at the top. That's crazy, right? Before, not too long ago, it was religion at the top of the pyramid. This is the pyramid of control, okay? These are the mechanisms of control. Believe it or not, they care about media these days more than money. The only reason why the reps care about money is because it's a device to control. Money doesn't equal anything to them. It's fake. They're just printing shit on paper. It doesn't do anything for them. It's the power that they're after. So this little tiny little square, sorry, triangle, don't know my shapes, okay? At the top, these are the reps, okay? They're at the top of the pyramid. But when I first got this information from the GFL and what they told me, I automatically assumed that anyone with any sort of influence, anyone with any sort of power, anyone on TV ever was a rep shapeshifter. And I think that I was just very excited about the topic and I was like so down to call people out. And it's kind of funny because I've been called out as one many times before, or like an Illuminati puppet. So I'm like, yo, I get where you're coming from because you think that I have influence and you think that it's going to be manipulated. But we need to realize that not everyone who has influence is being manipulated. The only way you can ever tell if someone is being manipulated by darker energies is how you vibe with it. Do you resonate with it? If you don't, then it's not for you in that moment. Doesn't mean that it's crooked or evil. It's just not for you, right? And so you just let it go and you move on. And that's the only way I can tell you to know. But what I've really seen is the ones who are on top, okay, because there are rep beings embedded within every single control system and dynamic of this pyramid of society. But the ones who are really in control is basically the royal family or certain members of the royal family and the 6 richest families of the world. Like they are the top of the top. Everyone else, even other rep beings on this planet, are all just pawns in their game. Now, I want to tell you, before I get into what the present day scenario is with them, I want to tell you about their biggest fear. Like straight up, their biggest fear. And I know this for a fact. Well, I guess they have 2 fears, but one that I've known about for such a long time, and then one that I'm probably pretty new to. Their biggest fear, can you guess? Oh, is it 13 families? Okay, I don't know. Their biggest fear is our population. We outnumber them. Not only do we outnumber them as human beings, but we're hybrids. We are hybrid beings. We are way more powerful than they are. We can travel to different dimensions in our mind. We can release dimethyltryptamine. We can connect to source frequency. We can levitate. We can heal ourselves. We are so freaking powerful. They don't have any of that. They have technology and greed. That's what they have. All right? They're scared of us. They're scared of the fact that our population is so intense, okay, that they can't control us anymore. We don't realize that we have more of us than they have of them. We don't realize that. And upon our awakening, we realize, hey, if we all come together and we say no on this one thing, we can actually change things. And that's what we've seen in the past couple of years. Protesting, it's been changing things. Speaking up, saying no, banding together has been changing things. They're scared of that. All right? Okay. So what's happening right now and what's been happening for the past couple of years? CEOs, major leaders of corporations, major greedy, pedophilia, gross men mostly, but I don't want to hate on men, are all stepping down from their power positions in politics, in media, in religion, in finance. They're stepping down because they are scared. Especially since 2019, there has been a mass exit of individuals in powerful positions. They are scared. A lot of them are getting out before they are kicked out, before they are offed, okay? Because we are winning. That's the reason why. There's a very, very, very small percentage, just like those 13 families or the royal family, who are still refusing with all of their might to let go of the control system that they have created. They are hanging on for dear life. And for good reason. They're about to lose everything that they've ever had, ever. But so what? Move on, where we all do that, right? So there's a battle that's been happening. Now, I think the most fascinating aspect of this battle is what's happening underground. I think I started channeling this maybe about a year ago, 2020. No, it was before that. I would say 2019. Anyway, and so I've been going around to different reptilian bases all around planet Earth, and I've been blasting them with white light. I've been attacked. I've been doing crazy things in other realms. I've been going to their, camps and other things, and it's horrendous what I've witnessed in those realms. but I've been trying on this mission to kind of battle them for many years now. And I realized that that may not be the answer, just to perpetually battle them. That's almost what they want. And so I would say that the other thing that they are very afraid of is love, is just pure unconditional love frequency. And that's what I give them now because I'm strong enough within my own systems without any fear, because I have seen it all. I've been through all their tricks. I've been, hooked in all the ways, and I can see that very clearly. And honestly, I have compassion around them. They're just low vibrational beings who are separate from source, who think that themselves is all that there is, and that's a really lonely freaking reality to live in. So that must suck to be there, to be angry and jealous and greedy and needing more and freaking depressed all the time. Like, I'm living a way better life, than that. So I really do have compassion around them. And with that compassion, I can give them that unconditional love. So they're scared of me nowadays, which is really funny and incredible. Every once in a while, they'll still come at me in different ways. But anyway, just super interesting. Okay, back on track. So tension has been rising with the rep beings underground. It's so crazy. I never, ever, ever, ever imagined this. I never thought that the day would come. But basically, they have been banding together, and there's this leader, this rep leader. She's a rep woman, and her name is Sasha, and she is like a rebel leader. And so she's bringing all of these beings together who all feel very restless. They hate the fact that they don't have freedom. They are slaves just as much as humans are slaves. That's what they've realized. And they want out. They want out of this system. They want out of underground. I want to just add, because we're going to that level of crazy. It's like so wild. So like a lot of information. But the reason for the beings who are underground, like, why not just leave? Why not go to a different planet? Why do they have to be kept down there? And it's because there's only a certain capacity that planet Earth has, Mother Gaia has, for consciousness on her planet. And if there are potentially hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of dark, low vibrational beings underground, then they are holding a very low vibrational space for planet Earth, which means that they are constantly bringing us down to a lower vibration, because that is the frequency that they are emitting. That is their purpose, to be underground, to be suppressed, and to be kind of slaves themselves. Nowadays, they're standing up and they're saying, we don't need to be down here. We don't want to be down here. We refuse to be down here, and we choose a different path. And so what's happening is they are planning to basically pose a mutiny against the higher ups, to fight with human beings to stop this crazy manipulation. It's like so wild. Okay, what else did I want to say about that? Rebel movement. Oh yeah, okay. Really cool. So when did I tune into this? I think it was either the very last Galactic Federation Summit, September 11th, or it was and you guys can correct me because you've been there, I don't remember what I channel, or it was the August 11th meeting. I don't know, it was one of those meetings. And basically, I checked, I think it was the August one. I checked in with Sasha, the rebel, and she was telling me all about what was happening. She actually said that they have a problem. There was a problem that they were encountering back, like underground. So I said, what's the problem? So this rebel leader, okay, she was showing me this underground cavern. It looked like a cave, and it was like dimly lit. And there was a wall, and there was all these rep soldiers that were lined up on the wall, and she was training them, okay? This is what they were so cool. So I said, what are you doing in your meantime? Like, in the meantime, before your attack or whatever, your mutiny, right? Your takeover, I guess. And she said, we are training these soldiers. And I said, what are you training them on? Are you training them on fighting ability? And she said, yes, we're training them to fight, but we're training them on something so much more powerful. And I said, okay, cool. She said, but we're having problems with the power that they have. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And she shows me this scene. So there's this lineup of rep beings. And she's standing in front of one of them, and she's basically teaching them the power of meditation and going within. And so he goes within, he goes into his heart center, and he starts to raise his vibrational frequency. And as he does that, there's this pure white light that's emanating from the heart chakra, and he's glowing and he's glowing and he's glowing and he's glowing. And all of a sudden, this glowing orb shoots out of his body, and his giant 10-foot tall rep body collapses. And she looks at me and she says, "This is the problem. This is what's happening." And I'm like, "What is it? I don't understand. What's going on?" And she says, "They are getting to such a high vibration so quickly that they are transmuting their low vibrational body." And she said, "It's a problem because we're losing all of these fighters to fight the movement." And I was just so blown away by that information that you can catch the whole thing in the August 11th GFL recording. And also the September 11th was like even more mind-blowing than that one. Anyway, so this is what's happening. We are getting ready for a battle. We're getting ready for huge shifts. I want to say that I've been channeling information about the rest of 2021, but specifically around November. But for I would say rest of 2021, moving into 2022, I want to leave you all with this message, which is we are about to see another mass purging of individuals who hold powerful positions within these ranks, okay? The reason why they have refused to leave, even though they don't agree with this system. So Nicki Minaj, great example. Apparently she's had some sort of crazy awakening, which is incredible, and she's speaking up against the system. I don't know what's going on with her. A lot of you have asked me to channel or make a video. I probably should. It's, a trending topic, whatever. But that is a good example of a very clearly shapeshifter transmuting to a higher vibration, and not only choosing to transmute, but actually verbalizing, what's happening, what's going on, and that's really incredible. Now, I want to mention too that all of these rep beings who have sold their soul to this system, they all have really nefarious proof against them. That is also, not only do they sign a contract, it's crazy, but through the rituals that they do when signing their soul contract away, all of these rituals that they do, which are absolutely horrendous, like horrific, okay, are filmed. They are documented. They are filmed. Then they are blackmailed if they ever want to leave. That's why you have tons of people leaving CEO positions, but no one is saying anything. How do we have an entire system of all of these beings, and sometimes just super innocent souls that get wrapped up in this, who are not whistleblowing? The reason being is because they have blackmail evidence around them. Now, the funny thing is, maybe not funny, but the ironic part is, if these rituals, if these videos were actually ever released, because really it's all bark and no bite, if they were ever released, the whole freaking thing would get exposed. Are you serious? There's enough awake people out there where we would see the truth. We would see that that wasn't actually that person choosing to do that thing, that this is really what they have everyone do. Okay? And I think that's, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, one more piece of the information. Okay, an update. I literally got this update today. Sometimes when I get updates, if I don't document it, I don't remember it because it just comes through so intensely. So today I was just writing my notes. I was channeling the information. I was like kind of just putting things together right before this video, meditating, and I was curious to see if Sasha, because that was about 2 months ago, I was curious to see if Sasha had figured anything out about her problem, right? Of these poor beings leaving. Well, I mean, these beautiful beings finding liberation. And she said, yes, there is a solution. And I said, what is it? And it's so cool. So basically what's happening right now is GFL, Galactic Federation beings, volunteers, are choosing to incarnate into reptilian bodies of the rebel warriors before they transmute and leave their body. Or there's like a very, very kind of like tight space or tight time in between the soul leaving the body and a new soul. It's like a walk-in. I literally wrote down Galactic Federation walk-in. That's what they're doing these days. They're choosing to utilize those bodies. So I feel so pumped about the fact that there's these crazy heightened ascended master interdimensional beings who are choosing to incarnate as basically reptilian rebel warriors. It's insane. This is what I said. Okay, this is the end of the fringe of the crazy that I get to. And for many, many years, I asked myself if I should ever release this information. But then I also feel, I guess, guilty of why would I get this information if I wasn't supposed to release it? And a long time ago, probably around the age of 18 or 19, I told my galactic family and the GFL, I said, do not give me any information that you do not want me to share with humanity. And it's funny because I think a lot of you think that I know more than what I say, and I don't. I have a lot of information, and obviously I can't say it all in one video, but I really never hold back on any information that I receive, even if it depicts me as like this crazy, insane, fringe woo-woo channeler. But I can't hold back because this information is liberating. It's empowering for me anyway. I don't know, it feels good for me. It gives like new perspective. It helps humanity understand the bigger picture of what's going on. So I'll sacrifice my image, totally to relay this information. And that being said, the GFL does block me on certain pieces of information because they literally tell me that I have a really big mouth and that I can barely contain myself when it comes to new downloads. And I laugh and I agree with them. And I say, yeah, you probably shouldn't tell me if I'm not supposed to say it. So super funny, but hopefully that fills in some gaps for you guys. That definitely went places that I didn't expect, but feels like all my videos and content are going places that I didn't expect, which is a good sign because that tells me that you guys are ready for this information. So thanks for watching. Keep up the good work. Have an amazing sleep tonight. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, I'll see you at the next GFL event, and I'll definitely see you in my next live video at 5:55 Eastern Standard Time. Bye for now. Thanks.